I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
That's Booby.
Jalpy and Ghosty. Oh, Chip is here too.
Chip in the house. Shout out to the big homie Germ. What's good, big homie? One of the village OGs.
Oh, this is... Okay, I don't think that he wanted us to say his name.
Okay.
Yes, he said not to mention his name.
Okay.
But he got this for the A99 crew.
Really?
Yeah, he paid for this reaction and just kind of bumped to the top of the list for them.
Okay.
So, yeah, this song, It's Cold as Life is the band. And the name of the song is Promise, Born to Land Hard. So
If you want to know what an alliance is, it's $1 at the gate.
join us on Patreon.
Yeah, it's $1 at the gate at Patreon.
Links in the description.
You get hooked up with a whole crew of like-minded individuals that like the specific genre.
They hang out on Discord a lot.
They
don't just talk about this. They talk about bunches of other things. And
Yeah,
they argue and they laugh and they have fun.
It's a sub-community within the community, so that's an alliance. And you get to make your case for your band, and once or twice a week they get played.
They actually have an art thing going on where you can submit your art on Patreon, and then they vote on who has the best art, and that person gets a free shirt.
Yeah, we're giving away one.
That's not even us doing that. So it's like somebody else in our village is like, hey, I can do this. So
Right.
that's cool.
And then there's also the $75 partner tier, which is like the one of those golden tickets at Disneyland where you get to cut in front of the line. So that's what this is. The name of this song is Promise from the band Cold as Life.
And
let go.
Go. Oh my gosh.
So I'm looking this up right now. It looks like the other group that gave Detroit hardcore its start was Cold as Life. The band began with Jeff Gunnels and Roy Bates as the aptly titled Apathetic Degenerates, which led to the Mattress Rats and then Cold as Life in 1988. The most controversial figure of the group was their singer Ron Beauty, who was murdered by his roommate Richard Werstein. The murder and the story surrounding Beauty's life are legendary in hardcore circles, and form
the basis for many fans' entrance into the politics and violence of the underground. He was so angry, dude, just burning inside, just so full of hate, Gunnell said. There were many, many people in the receiving end from his dysfunctional upbringing.
So, I guess the singer of the band was murdered by
his roommate?
This guy. But
which was his roommate.
Yeah, that's the.
I'll tell you what, this was a very unnerving song.
Why?
Well, just the way I think that they really, like the way that it came out in the beginning, like even this like lyric video, whoever put this together, that was like nerve-wracking to me too. Like the way that they put it, where you actually hear, like I don't know, like some of the stuff that you hear kind of sounded like it might have been like real stuff. I don't know. Maybe I put it in my head. Did they even do anything that sounded like it was like a call at the beginning? Or was that just in my head?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
The
call. That made me nervous.
He was shot 3 times in cold blood by his roommate as he slept on August 15, 1993.
As he slept?
Though the killer was apprehended, he skipped bail and has been on the lam ever since.
What?
Yo, that's crazy. That was written in 2012? So this,
the guy's still out there?
This website was written in 2012, not December 2011. So I guess they never found the guy.
Oh my gosh. But so like the way like when he's like, he called him a punk with a gun. Wow. There was a promise made. Like just the way that they put it, like I feel like, okay. Ooh.
What?
Like, oh my word, this song was just very nerve-wracking. Like, the whole idea of, like, I don't like the thought of being chased. But this guy should be chased because of what he did. And so, like, the way that they did it and that, like, screamy kind of, like, voice, it was just very nerve-wracking because it was, like, how you would feel, like, that frustration, the anger, the sorrow, the everything just into the voice coming out in this song about this situation, and like and seeing like having this guy's face on that paper and the paper's crooked and it's just what I don't know, it was just very like oh my gosh. And then at the end he said see you in hell. You heard that?
Mm-hmm. You might.
Yeah,
you might if you don't let go of that vengeance.
I know, but
I like this song because it puts the Cain and Abel story into clear relief.
What do you mean?
Well, I just don't. I don't think people understand how unjust that whole narrative was.
Oh, I know.
This dude kills his brother.
Yeah.
He takes no accountability for it, and the only thing he's worried about is whoever finds me will kill me. And then God goes, "I'll make sure that doesn't happen to you. Mm-hmm. I'll protect you."
And his whole. Honestly, his whole attitude with God when they were talking is annoying to me. It's like, you know how sometimes like we talk to the kids about something that they're doing wrong, and sometimes you can see that they're very like repentant and stuff, and then there's other times they're like, what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and you can tell that's the attitude Cain had. Even when he asked him, like, where's your brother?
Yeah.
Cain knew his brother was dead. He killed him. And then he's like, what?
My brother's keeper.
Am I supposed to be watching my brother all the time? Like, is babysitter? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that kind of attitude when you know full well, but God, like, doesn't even react like that with him. Like, God goes and protects him. And then in the Bible, like, in our culture, kids are, like, considered, like, not so great. That's why we have abortions and, all these things to prevent getting pregnant and stuff. People don't really want big families, but back in that culture and in that day, like families were like very, very important, and your kids were super, super important, and their understanding, their worldview of children was that was a blessing and a gift from God. So the more kids,
Psalm 27,
in the Bible
children
tells
are a
us
reward
that.
from the Lord.
So if you have a bunch of kids, like that's a blessing and that's a gift from God. And so Cain, after doing that, he's blessed with kids. He, founds a city and stuff. Like he still had bunches of things that were good for him, and his attitude like
artists,
that. Yeah,
his kids became artists, architects, and nothing happened to him. Like I've heard a lot of evilbible.com and God is mean and look at this terrible thing that God did. Like that to me is that's a especially for a person with my disposition. To this day, I still have a problem with it. But, I mean, I love God for loving Cain to that degree. But it's like, man, sheesh. Mm-hmm. And it kind of sets the tone, really. Because, in Genesis 3, you've got, shout out to Tanya. Genesis 3, you've got, the whole setup, right? You've got the seed of the serpent. You get the seed of the serpent, and then you get the seed of the woman.
Yeah.
And they're going to be at war. And the very next chapter, you see.
Oh, I know.
It's not.
Yep.
It's not what you think. They literally came from the same womb.
Yep.
One of them belonged to the serpent, and one of them belonged to Eve. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty crazy. But it tells you God's disposition toward evil people. Mm-hmm. And it's basically God saying, "Well, the good guy's good, and he's with me." Like as God is talking to Cain, Abel's next to him, like he's with him, right? Yeah. So now God's worried about Cain.
Oh my gosh, that's such a weird thing. Like you're right. Wow.
Yeah. So I mean,
because like when I picture it, I actually picture like Abel's body and just like tons of blood on the ground. Yeah. But I'm not picturing that actually at that time he would have already been with God.
He's with him.
Abel's sitting right there, and God's like, "Where's your brother?"
Right. Right. Well, I think it's good for Abel to be able to see that God was advocating for him because he died out basically in a field somewhere, So, but, so a guy like that.
I don't even know.
See, the thing is, it's like if me and you get into a conflict, I'm just saying the proverbial you, me and you get into a conflict and you say, all right, I'm going to go to my car. Like one time I was, in the hood, we were all playing basketball, and then everything escalated, and then Ed is this short guy. He was smaller than me, and Ant was this big, tall guy, but Ant was a punk, basically. People used to, whatever. And Ed had just started up this chapter of this gang. And so, Ed smacked Ant in the face, which, and Ed had his crew with him. So Ant said, all right, okay. And he went to his apartment. I looked at my friend Marcus. I'm like, yo, we're out. We're out right now. And then I said, Ed, I was like, you better get the fuck out of Dodge, bro. Because I just felt like he had pushed him to that point. And just because he had, people with him. So Ed was like, oh, okay, all right. So he left. And I'm like, yo, Ed. But, of course, Ed was in front of all his little disciples. So he's like, what, man? Let that nigga blah, 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 blah. I'm like, all right.
What happened?
Nothing happened that day. Ed eventually ended up getting shot because he robbed some dudes from Taft. And Taft...
So Ant didn't come back?
I don't know what he did. Me and Marcus were gone. I was like, nope. That's how you stay alive in those situations. Because then I didn't see nothing... I don't have to talk to any DTs. I was out. I left. Like, that's what you do. You don't sit there and watch that shit. Like, there were obviously high-rise buildings surrounding it. So if I lived there, then you peek out the window. Mm-hmm. But I was like, yo, Marcus, we out. Mm-hmm. Game's over. Mm-hmm. But my point is, if the guy tells you I'm going to my trunk or I'm going to my apartment,
get out of that
situation. If he says, I'll be back, that means you have a couple options. You're going to leave, you're going to get your own weapon, or you're going to stay there. But my point is, he's saying it to your face. Mm-hmm. This dude waited until this guy was asleep. He had some sort of beef with him. That's the difference between him and Cain. Cain would look and be like, yo, you're a pussy. Mm-hmm. Because Cain
struck him down when they were in the field.
Yeah, he straight up.
When he was asleep.
Yeah, that's very unmanly. And like, I've been in like different like the hood and suburbs, Florida, the South. Every dude has the same code. Like you can't be a pussy, man. You got a problem with somebody. You gotta address him like a man. You can't blindside somebody and all that shit. Like that was one of the hard things that I had to deal with in New York. Was like dudes had no sense of honor. If you got beat in a fight 1D, then you go and get your friends in. And then if your friends lost the rumble, then somebody's got to get a weapon. And then I used to carry weapons, but I resented the hell out of. I hated the fact that I had to do that. But at the same time, like I wasn't like my older brother. My older brother was able to coast through all that shit, not a problem in the world. But not me. It's girls, man.
Yeah.
Girls are the devil.
No, you cannot say that. That's not even.
It really was, though. It
was your issue with the girls. You can't just blame it on them.
We all had issues with the girls. But, yeah. So, like this guy, how can I shoot somebody and you like when they're. That's the same thing with that Centoya Brown.
That's what I was trying to look up. I'm going to Middle America. I'm like, what was that girl's name?
Yeah, Centoya Brown.
That's literally what I was thinking of because I thought of his hands being like that.
Well, and the thing is about Centoya Brown is like, it was like a no-brainer. It's like a woman of color. She was a woman. She was a sex worker. Everybody knows how I feel about people in those three categories, and she hit all three of them.
Yeah.
So I did not come in there.
And she was young.
I didn't come in there with an unbiased opinion. I was very biased on her side.
Oh, yeah.
And then I found out that she shot the guy in his sleep. Took all his shit and bragged about it. Sorry, you're a cold-blooded killer. Yeah. You should stay in jail. She's out now.
When I saw it,
because of Kim Kardashian.
Oh, I know. I was like, what in the world? I saw his hands. That's when I felt the most sad for the situation.
Yeah. And everybody knows me. Like,
I know.
Any dudes
Please, I'm always like, babe, can you be a little bit more
dudes
like,
that exploit women and all that stuff? Like I got no love for you whatsoever.
No, you're
Cardi B, Jack, those guys in the hotel. I don't give a damn. But she crossed the line. That wasn't right, and she deserves to stay in jail for the rest of her life. But. My point is, you kill somebody in their sleep, man. Like, that's, like, to me, the ultimate, like... There's one story in the Bible where there was, like, this war of kingdoms, and, like, David was, like, coming up as the king. Like, it was clear that he was supposed to be the king. And then you had Saul, and Saul knew that David was supposed to be the king, but he wanted to hold on to the kingdom for him and his sons. And basically, it ended up that Saul ended up dying, and all the people looked at David and said, okay, well, you're the king. And then one of David's henchmen, in this moment of zeal, sneaks into one of Saul's son's houses and chops the guy's head off, Al-Qaeda style. And so they show up with the dude's head. And David said, yeah? You thought it was real manly to go kill a guy in his sleep? And he had to do
right there, right?
He executed him right there.
Yeah.
Like that's a line that just does not get crossed. You do not kill people in their sleep. What the hell? So I was unnerved too because this song brought up all these feelings for me and my sense of retributive justice, and I'm a recovering violence addict, and so like I know like something like that happened to my friend. How I would feel. You know what I mean? Like, I remember being so scared that something was going to happen to my friends, like something permanent, and then I'd sit up at night and be like, what will I do? Like, I didn't know what I would do. So, that's a really scary feeling, man. Like, I didn't even want to be in that situation. You know what I mean? Like, so, apparently this brother was not a very nice individual, but if he's it's kind of like the mayhem thing where the guy, Varg, he did it straight up. He didn't wait till the guy was asleep.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, man. It's human nature. It's pretty terrible. Vigilante justice. One thing I can say is that vigilante justice, it never works because it doesn't heal anything. It doesn't. I remember one time we got jumped and blah blah blah, and we got some kid in a locker and we got our vengeance. You don't feel good afterward. Like you don't feel like but yeah.
Well, I mean, I know that, like, you know, just talking to different people in different situations, that sometimes you might feel better because you got your vengeance, but I think that because, you know, we talk about people being made up of not just, like, we're not just bodies.
Right.
We're bodies, we're souls, and we're spirits. And so I think that the spirit side of a person has a bit of a harder time with something like that. So you might have part of you that's like, yeah, when you say, fuck that nigga. Oh, you can't say that on this.
No, it's fine.
Oh, you can. I'm like, oh no, I shouldn't have said that.
Fuck.
You know, but then at the same time, there's a part of you that's kind of like,
Yeah.
you know?
I saw a meme one time. It was like the precursor to every bad decision. Fuck it.
Well, they say that you, like, have to hit that point where you have to, like, and then you cross the line, you know?
I knew that about myself. Like, people, they'd be looking at me like, yo, what are we supposed to do in this situation? Mm-hmm. And it'd be like, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. And I just, fuck them. Mm-hmm. Let's go.
Well, there was
and it was a completely ignorant and stupid thing to do many times over, but
that was the... You know that verse that says, like, it basically talks about, but that God, like, that there's temptations that come to us.
Yeah, but
that
God will give you a way out.
There's always a way of escape.
Yeah, no temptation has befallen you, but that which is common to man. But when you are tempted, God will give you a way out so that you're not... Yeah.
You know that spot right before you say, fuck it. I always said, that's the way out.
Take the off-ramp.
That's the off-ramp.
Take the
off-ramp.
Like,
you're going to take it?
You're going to take it?
It's like,
nah. Fuck that nigga. He's got to die for that shit.
but seriously, though, you take the off-ramp, sometimes you're, like, so happy you took the off-ramp because, like, when you're in the heat of it, you're like, this is the best idea I ever came up with. But then when you get off the off-ramp and then you, like, sleep on it and the next day you're like, whoa, that was...
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of those whoa experiences until I moved out of New York.
Right, because you're always just fucking.
We were walking down the street one time and some white boys bumped into me and the dude tried to stun on me and I was like, initially I was confused. I'm like,
it's so funny when he gets confused because, like, you're such an intelligent person and you piece stuff, like, you're so amazing at figuring out people, like, human nature and stuff like that, but there's some things that you get a genuine confusion. It's honestly one of your cutest faces that you make.
I was
like,
confused.
Okay, so you get confused.
That was good. Well, the thing is, the person that I was with, which was a female, was way more dangerous than I was.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So that was what was happening. Like, this dude bumped me, and she was like, she'd only been a Christian for a year, so she still had a certain type of mentality. I mean, I've seen this girl. She was like 100 pounds soaking wet. I've seen her pick up, you know, animals twice her size and slam them into gates and shit. Like, she was crazy. She's like legitimately crazy, and she used to walk around with weapons. Even in Maine, because we were walking home. And so we still had that mentality. So I'm looking at this guy like, I was like, what? He's a couple white girls with him and all this. And
what was he saying? Like, what was his problem?
No, you bumped me, da-da-da-da-da. And I was just like, I mean, he had two other guys with him, but...
What'd you do?
Man, I was just looking, and I looked at the girl, my girl at the time, and she was just like stone cold staring at the guy. Like, I said, God bless you, man. Have a good one. He's like, that's right. I'm like, right what? That God will bless you? Yeah. I said, God bless you. Get the fuck out of here, dude.
Oh my gosh.
You've grown up in Lewiston, Maine all your fucking live long days, man. But, you know, like, I was in such a good space with God, you know, that I was able, you know, I was like, yeah.
So did you feel like you had an off-ramp?
Like I
or
said,
was it like it wasn't
well, like I said, I mean, being around that person, you remember, I was always on edge because you literally did not know what she was gonna do.
Yeah.
Like, this is a girl in the Bronx, New York, was putting swastikas on her head and going after gangbangers, and gangsters were scared of her. So, like, I knew that this dude is, like, looking at me, and he really thought he could do something to me, and he would have no idea what would happen to him. Because of this girl. And she just stayed quiet and shit. She was like... But yeah. It, you know. And of course now if it would have happened, I'd just laugh, you know what I mean? Like, you know, okay, man. Alright. Tough guys from Lewiston, Maine.
I'd laugh with you.
You motherfuckers are walking around with fucking trees and shit, rivers, streams and shit. we never saw any of that shit growing. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
But but somebody does that to your friend, man. That's hard, man. That's a hard thing to
and
let
you
go.
have like such a giant, enormous sense of loyalty and stuff. So like, if something happened to your friend, like that would be extremely difficult for you not to engage.
Well, I think there's a lot of people like that. Like, you don't even have to have a certain type of code, but it's just somebody killed your friend in cold blood, like. And it's part of the grieving process. Like, that's one of the things they don't tell you, but that's one of the things they actually do tell you in when you join certain organizations, that they basically train you to use the death of people as motivation to continue
the cycle
certain engagements.
Violence, yeah.
So like,
of course,
it's very instructive because, and like if you look at it from an evolutionary perspective, it's one of the things that makes it so that your tribe could survive. Because if you didn't have that sort of vengeance mechanism, then the other tribe could come in and take all your shit.
Right.
So if you look at it from an evolutionary perspective, it's one of those things that's like, kind of necessary for survival. And then you kind of hit this tipping point of civilization and civility, and that's why you have police.
Yeah.
And that's why, a lot of people don't understand this about the lex talionis in the Bible, eye for an eye. That was actually used to mitigate vigilante justice. In other words, if somebody takes your eye out, you can't kill him.
Yeah.
Because you saw Lamech in Genesis 5 was like, yo, this guy stepped on my shoes, so I murked the dude.
Yeah.
Right? And so the eye for an eye is actually, it's not designed for you to continue this crazy cycle of violence. What it's designed to do is to limit the act of vengeance.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're right.
So, and then of course Jesus shows up and then pushes it even further with turn the other cheek.
Well, yes, he does. But it's like, it's natural, like, again, I always relate stuff. We have 5 kids. I always relate stuff to like what I see in the kids because I feel like that's the most natural form of,
right.
You know what I mean? Because it's
right.
like nobody's teaching them to do these things, but like there's like, or even like my siblings when I was a kid, like if somebody slapped you, you slapped them back, and like if I would have slapped my sister, she would have slapped me back twice as hard. And there's basically saying like, don't slap back twice as hard, just do it even to what they did.
Right.
Which makes sense because
right.
when she'd slap me back twice as hard, then it was like, well, I mean, you. Right. Or if she slapped me back twice, then I'm like, yeah, but you just did it twice. No, we're not even. You just
right.
did it twice.
Right.
So you know what I mean? Like I can see. There does you do kind of want to like have that evenness.
Yeah, it's like,
even though Jesus's law was better, Jesus's idea on it was much better because it ended the cycle of violence.
Right.
And especially like I think that once you come to terms with the way that his idea for ending violence is, turn the other cheek and stuff, like once you grasp that and you really like wield the strength of that, like other people can look in and say, oh, well, that's weak. Like you're just, I think that some people are straight cowards and they hide behind turn the other cheek because they're a coward. Right. But there are people who it is way more difficult to turn the other cheek than it is to say eye for an eye. And so in that situation, you recognize the strength that there is in withholding that and saying, okay, I'm not going to have eye for an eye, but I'm actually going to turn the other cheek.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there is,
yeah.
but...
And you realize the power that you hold when you do it.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to communicate.
Yeah, like that you feel it's kind of counterintuitive, but you feel mega powerful.
You do.
And you're like, yo, I'm above this, man.
Right. Right.
I'm above all this shit. Yeah. That's not what I was thinking at the time. When I finally figured out what the guy was doing, I was like, oh, this dude's trying to stunt in front of his friends. I was like, oh, okay. I couldn't figure it out what was happening, but I pieced it together. I was like, oh, this fucking kid, man. Terrible.
Okay.
What do you give the song?
I think it's a 10. What they were going for, I think they really did it.
It's an 8.8 for me.
Yeah, no, 10. What could they have done better to communicate this?
Well, I thought they communicated the message very well. It's just the musicianship to me was kind of.
Oh yeah.
It didn't blow me away.
No.
Like 10's gotta mean something to me.
No, I hear what you're saying, but it's not like Metallica with all that. Oh, you know what I mean? It's nothing like this song for what it was, like captured it and communicated that very, very well. I thought I was nervous. I felt uncomfortable. I'm actually going to watch my own reaction because I feel like I didn't barely move.
Yeah, I didn't feel nervous, but
I did. I felt very nervous. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And they started out with that call and...
Yeah, he was watching Vlad TV and Nipsey Hussle got killed. So, Vlad was asking all these like West Coast guys. And in the 90s, these West Coast guys, they were gangbanging like Chicago now. Mm-hmm. And he was like, so you found, he asked one of his guys, like, okay, so you find this dude, what would you do? And the guy's like, I'd kill him right there. The guy didn't even know Nips, didn't know the other guy. He was a Southside Crip, da-da-da-da. It was just crazy. It's like...
Oh, I did see that part.
Yeah, like...
He didn't even know him?
Didn't even know him. But Nips was a real, like... You know, a lot of guys like, oh, I want to get back to the hood. They'll do a turkey drive or something. Like, this dude bought up an entire strip where he lived and was employing ex-gangbangers. And that's one of the reasons why the guy was able to shoot him so much was because all these guys were on parole. None of them can have... They're all felons. None of them can have guns. So... They're trying to turn their life around, and the guy knew that, and that's when he did that.
That is so wrong.
Here's a guy that's like not doing lip service to the hood. Like this is a guy who actually loves his community. Yeah. And you're gonna go and do that?
Yeah.
Like it's horrible because the Nips used to sell CDs in that strip. Like he would make his own CDs and sell them. They used to kick him off the property and da 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 da. And it's like bang, he was able to buy out the whole property, and he dies right there on the side of the street. It's a gut punch, man. And so, like, everybody was like, yo, find that guy, we'd kill him.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I understand.
That's a whole other level of commentary about the black community and the way that we are. But
I don't want to go to jail. That is like a big thing for me. I do not want to go to jail.
That's called a deterrent.
Yes, right. I know. Yeah. But like, first of all, the claustrophobia element of it, that's very troublesome to me.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, I talk to different people on Patreon. They'll be like, yo, like, you're not gonna see me for a while. I gotta, I'll be in jail for 6 months or something like that. I'm like, like I feel like, oh my gosh. And then I can't. You know how I am about my kids.
Yeah.
Like. I go to Starbucks for a couple of hours and I'm missing them.
Right.
So I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, like, of course. Of course.
So like, I feel like I'm a loyal person.
You've also never lost a friend though.
Right.
So, you've also never had a friend, jump by 5 people and you weren't there.
Right.
So you've never been in that situation.
No, I haven't. You're right. So I don't know what I would do, but...
Nobody knows what they would do in a given situation. Nobody does until you're in the situation.
I brought the kids to the library, and there was a meter outside. Well, the meter you could only feed the meter X amount of times. You couldn't be there for longer than 2 hours, and I missed that. I went down there, we were religiously feeding that meter. Well, lo and behold, we got a ticket because we were there for over 2 hours. I'm like, are you serious? So... the ticket says the fines will double if you don't pay within 15 days. Shoot, where was I going with this story?
No idea.
Oh, so I tried to pay this online, and when you go online, it was saying they had no record of this ticket. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I called the police department. I'm like, hey, and I left a message. So they called me back, and they're like, sorry, they said my full name. I'm like, okay. This is the Lewiston Police Department. I'm like, what the heck is happening? Like, I got nervous. I haven't even done anything criminal. I've had no criminal behavior. The only thing that I did that was kind of like, was when I was pregnant, I was so, like, stressed out. Remember I grabbed that on the side of the road, there was, like, a coffee pot that was all glass, and I smashed it. Like, that's, like, the worst thing I've done.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I didn't even think of that, though. I'm like, why? And I, like, got nervous. I'm like, why am I nervous right now? Turned out they were just telling me that the website never really works. I'm like, welcome to Maine. But anyway.
All I have to say is Sori does not want to go to jail.
Yes, I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to go to jail. No. And I don't like how mean the guards are. And like the stuff that they do. What?
How do you know how mean the guards are?
Because I've talked to people that have been in jail.
Yeah. But you talked to one guy that was in jail. Yeah, a lot of these...
I have not just talked to one guy that's been in jail.
A lot of these West Coast guys, though, like... they don't really see a difference between jail and the street.
Yeah.
Because your gangster friends are in jail.
Yes.
So they're not looking at it like that.
I know.
And secondly, a lot of these dudes get murdered on the street. Like, it's not like they're breaking their necks to figure out who did it. Like, oh, black kids killing each other. Fuck them. Like, they're not, you know, they're not worried about it.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah. As long as they, you know, if a killing happens in the wrong neighborhood, you best believe, like, the whole, but if it just happens in the hood, it's just, So anyway, there you are.
Okay, so 10 for me, not like Metallica 10, but like they communicated it well. I don't think that you could make any improvements on that song.
Vin out.
I'm not going to listen to it again though. Made me nervous. Sorry, out.
Gone.